Capricorn, I've laid the first part of your reading already and we'll add to it. And to see whether it might be right for you, there's four majors. It's quite heavy on majors. And there's this feeling of trying to integrate some sort of passionate new energy and how one does it. So there's a kind of change in perspective that leads to quite a lot of fiery energy, the wands coming on board, and how one integrates that seems to be the general tenet, but let's see when we read it. So you in the interior, the Hanged Man. These are new cards to me. They're the Bodhisattva or Boudica deck. This is interesting because it's got a two-faced person looking in both directions. Is that Janus with two crows, beautiful summer scene. And one of them is looking, is it into an egg? Anyway, so you've had this change of perspective. This is interior, in the inside I can see a deer in the background or a wolf, and I can see a third crow. See if you can, well, I'll point them out, third crow I think there. So this kind of mysterious forest, maybe this beginning of this change of perspective happened in the summer because it's a summertime. And how that makes you, and that's interior, you're waiting for some sort of inspiration, and it's a big energy. Sorry, we've got 5 majors, so your interior and exterior are majors. This is quite strong energy. I'm going to say Capricorn and Crow people because I've noticed those crows so strongly. How this makes you act on the outside is as this happy, messy magician. Why do I say messy? Well, probably because I'm in a mess today and I need to tidy up. But look at all the bits and bobs. So much on the table that she's got. Normally she just has one of each of the aces. But here we've got all sorts of coins and beads and clock and a skull and a picture and a pistol. What else can you see there? Maybe screenshot it and see what jumps out. Some toadstools. And so your change of perspective has made you want to create, has put you in touch with the fiery nature of the magician, because he is very fiery, and it's number 1 after the Fool. It's like this initiatory, the fun of being able to make things happen. He's quite a willful character. At the root of the situation for you is the 6 of Pentacles. This was in reverse, but I've sort of turned everything up so the right way up in this case because I wasn't sure whether it's just the way I'd put the cards back, but I am going to note that this was in the reverse. And this is about nostalgia. These kids are finding stuff on the beach. They found this giant squid, this giant being of love, I think, because we're talking about water and love. And it talks about some nostalgic moment. It's kind of reminding me, with that pastoral setting in the background, of a book by Sarah Perry called The Essex Serpent, where there is, which has been adapted as well, where there's this giant eel or serpent or something mysterious going on, and it's creating a sort of sense of hysteria and the sense of evil abroad in a small community in Essex. There's a kind of church element. There's a sense of paranoia. Maybe you've uncovered some sort of impulse like that from your childhood. The other book that makes me think of is Stella Gibson, called Comfort Farm. Really read that if you get a chance. It's so brilliant and it's so funny. And what we're talking about there is, something nasty in the woodshed. But these kids are pleased with what they found, but their parents might well think it's quite distressing. So that's what this is, you just go with what is coming out to you. So something that children might find a kind of miracle that parents might find distressing, something from your childhood that you are engaging with again. This period of contemplation has put you into this very sort of cluttered but creative space, and it's all being informed by something large and unusual that you maybe came across in your childhood. What would that be? I don't know. In the recent past, we've got the Knight of Pentacles. He's a really jolly Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles, he is on a donkey, which is funny because the Knight of Pentacles is so slow. And he's the Knight of Fungi, but there are people watching him. So, and he looks kind of jolly, and his coat is red, and he's giving away these fungus. He's sort of ever giving, and maybe there's an implication that he's slightly intoxicating because of those fungus, and that there's a crowd that are waiting to be intoxicated, but he's steady. So could be a character or some part of you that's very steadily intoxicating, delightful, very good at being with your community, loyal, steady in your actions. I like how he's riding side saddle. There's something very sort of, despite his steady nature, this one is quite quirky and theatrical and potentially intoxicating. One potential outcome is the Page of Pentacles. So going from the Six of Pentacles to the Page of Pentacles, so suddenly sort of becoming, sort of wearing this sea creature almost, going from a childhood perspective to a teenage perspective, or a young teenage perspective, or that sort of thing. It's a kind of beginner's mind where you might start sort of trying on. I mean, could there be someone in fashion? Potentially, because that's what I'm seeing. But it feels like trying on something imaginatively. And I imagine it's something to do with this thing that you've discovered in your childhood. Now, coming up in the near future, this is when all our combustible wands come in. The King of Combustion. He really looks a bit frightening, doesn't he? He looks like the sky is sort of, what's going on here? The sky is, the sky is very sort of fiery coming out of the top of his hat. He's reading a book, but he's also sort of lost in thought. Something's occurring to him. He's quite magician-like. He looks more like a traditional magician than our magician. There's all this sort of industrial railroad activity behind him. And some people climbing up the top of his hat. Can you see those on a ladder? He's got plans, this guy. And so that's some sort of, it feels a lot more Machiavellian, focused, dynamic, ambitious. This is what's starting to come out of all this kind of whimsy of the cups and the Six of Cups and the Page of Cups and the Hangman. Suddenly now we're going into this quite sort of seriously ambitious, creative, realized form of all this passion. And in your attitude, we see that with the Knight of Combustion. These combustions are much more punchy than you're not used to seeing in this deck. So here we've got a character who's slain a dragon, and there's a horse in the background, and the sort of sky that's starting in the King is there as well. So he's right in the act. The knights are all based in action. So your attitude is, I'm ready to slay some dragons. I'm ready to take on whatever it is I need to. But with it is this beautiful Empress. This is the Boudica deck. So I feel like she is extra important because it's really about the energy of female power or feminine power, goddess power. So your attitude is one where I am standing in my creativity and I'm ready to act and I'm ready to slay some dragons. I'm not leaving things as they have been. I'm ready to follow my passions and really sort of think about what I want. It's interesting because the Empress is usually quite focused on nurturing creativity, yes, but nurturing others. And here, combined with the Knight of Wands, who's famously quite follows his own passions, is a sort of double creative energy. And who's going to win is what I want to know. The Empress, who's made up of all the queens, all the hearts, all this kind of soft energy that you have in your basis of the reading and one potential outcome, or is it your fiery nature that's going to win? And in your home, we've got the Queen of Combustion. So we've got the Knight, the King, and the Queen of Combustion now. And the Judgment. So this is at home. There's the Queen of Combustion. What is she doing? She's sitting in this beautiful room. She looks kind of bored, like she wants to be off. And her cat is very much staring at us at the base. And she has got something on her mind, a bit like the King. They're both kind of preoccupied with what they are wanting to have happen. And with her is the Judgment. Now, is this about something's woken up at home? There's some sort of dynamic female intuition that's woken up in your home environment or your work environment, wherever you spend most of your time. Is it that there's a sort of real awakening of this? I think so. it feels like the awakening of the judgment comes through this creativeness, because see he's got a skull there, and then they're all waking up through the skull. I feel like it's part of what he's been wanting to create, or she's been wanting to create, is starting to sort of bring this kind of, it's almost the process of creativity is waking something up in you, and it's making you feel like you're getting all of this creative energy together and there is no stopping you. So the next card is your hopes and fears. And here we have this interesting Four of Fungi. So again, we've got the skull on the table. He could be like looking, again, everyone's got a very messy desk around here. Like it, mine too. But here the Four of Earth, the Four of Pentacles is really about trying to hold on to things. So it feels as if here, the earthy side of you that was producing all of those mushrooms when you were the Knight of Wands in the past has now got a sort of bundle of them. This is all your sort of earthy responsibilities and your wealth and whatever you've created in the past, and you're trying to sort of hold on to it. You're trying to keep a lid on all of this creation, all of this explosion. You hope to be able to bring it into some sort of synthesis, make sense of it, hold your mushroominess, your pentacleness with all of this creativity. How does he look? Oh, well, there's no point of any. Oh, there we go. He looks determined. There's lots of detail in this. There's a woman right in the background on that painting. What do you see? Is it the Empress? Who's there? He looks determined. Oh, there's even another pile of mushrooms down there. They're everywhere. So he looks determined to hold this all together, to be able to hold all this passion with his kind of earthy nature. Well, you're Capricorn, you will be quite earthy, depending on what else is in your sign. And where it all goes, the beautiful star. So look at those shooting stars. Look at how she's on a waterfall. There is a lot of sense of movement here. It's not the still pond that she usually has that she's dipping into and pouring into. Here she's languishing. She looks relaxed, but there's so much dynamism in the sky, in the water. There's a lot of movement, and it is actually the perfect picture here that mixes the water of the cups with the fiery kind of comets and asteroids or whatever it is that's shooting stars. There seems, and then you brilliantly synthesizing it all, healing, being able to metabolize, being able to move forward and think about your bright hopes and dreams from this position. Absolutely love it. Right, let's pull you some more cards. So what have we got here? The Knight, James Baldwin, the Knight of Cups. These are the Philosopher's tarot deck, which I just picked up yesterday. So James Baldwin, I've left my copy of Giovanni's Rem in Italy, but I hope to read that soon. So a kind of wise, sage voice, this is what I pick up from not having read him yet, of great sophistication and ability to synthesize with dignity with this cup. So it feels like a sort of tempering voice from what I know of him, being able to bring with love, act with love, your heart, your cup still being in the picture, despite all of this passion that's coming on board. Yeah, and yet the Knight of Swords. So your 2 cards of action. We've now got 3 knights on the table. You really want to act with all of this. You want to make a move with all of this passion that's coming on board, which is really wonderful. You must use all of this energy. Lost and Found is your fairy card. What was once lost is about to be found, thanks to the Lost and Found fairy. Sometimes she can help us find things we never even realised we lost. Well, that feels like the Judgment and this sea creature. And so is it that you might not quite know what it is yet that you're about to connect with from your childhood, but there is something very, very important. And it is going to inform, even if you don't know you've quite lost it, it is going to inform your next steps. So that's quite exciting. So let's see what else we've got here. talk to us about this reading. And here we have the Eight of Cups. You're moving on. You're doing something in a new way. There's some sort of progression here. It really feels it's quite a lovely mix of earth and fire. And I think you're able to get traction with it. It's able to become quite a sort of mature development rather than just a sort of fiery flash in the pan. And what have we got here? We've got the Knight of Discs, so another Knight of Pentacles. Taurus, being very sort of dependable, but yet looking quite passionate, like our other Knight of Pentacles that we've got here with all his fungi. The Hermit, the Eight of Wands to go with your Eight of Cups, and the Hierophant. I wonder whether you're going to do something to do with message. I mean, certainly the Eight of Wands is about goals, but I wonder whether there's messaging, writing, social media of some sort, because that's what the Eight of Wands is about. It's about quick communication, but held between the Hermit and the Hierophant, it feels really moral and really full of integrity. Your path, and a path that can be translated into something very wise for other people. It won't be full of dogma like the Hermit can be, like the Hierophant can be, because you've sort of reinvented something with this passionate, fiery integration that's going on here. Let's pick a Mother Peace card. Talk to us about the Star a bit, what's going on with the Capricorn and oh, we've got another Eight of Wands, just like what we've just had. So the Star with two lots of Eight of Wands, these Eight of Wands that were just flanked. I feel, because I asked about the Star, these even look like Eight Wands, don't they? Flying through, well, more than Eight Wands. Lots of messages, arrows, and sort of dramatic, fiery communication. Again, this fire, like setting something alight, and arrows, and that you're able to... I feel like you could be sending some sort of writing or sending some sort of communication that is really important, that sets the world alight somehow, whether it's in your small corner of the internet or through your friends, or somehow what you say and do now in a goal-directed way is very, very effective to the collective. It feels very dynamic. And then let go. What, if anything, can be done to let go of what's standing in your way? These look like the people from the Judgment. What would be standing in their way? That's strange. Let's get a Solar Biscuit. These are always a bit funny when I pick these up because I don't know them very well. But anyway, let's just read them intuitively. Here we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wands. Other people's needs. Is that right? Other things, or other things on your... Yeah, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then the 5 of Swords and the 7 of Swords. Quite a lot. What's going on in his kind of pants? That's extraordinary. His pants are falling down. Like with the 5 of Swords, it's like getting into a 5 of Swords here, getting into a fight, and here with the 7 of Swords, losing something, being caught with your pants down a bit. There's quite a lot on your plate that you need to let go of. That's all those competing needs to get to the Star. How can they let go of those? Give us some inspiration. Some sort of Knight of Wands, I would say. I think it is the Knight of Wands. With your passion. With your passion. I love their little fat legs in these. Let me just pull one more clarifying card on that. How can they... Actually, we'll go back to the Boudica's cards. How can Capricorn... Whoops. Wow. Sorry. I mean, talk about fire. I've literally just dropped my burning charcoal, ow, onto, this is amazing, in this fiery reading, onto the cards, and then had to pick it up with my fingers and burnt my fingers. Is this the kind of energy that you're feeling? That's never happened to me before. I mean, I am a bit of a mess, like all the characters on this desk. Maybe it needed to be tidied up somewhat. And now it's sort of threatening to burn through stuff. This is fascinating. I've literally burnt my fingers. So talk to us about that. How to metabolize this 7 of combustion. Wow, it's really sore. 7 of combustion. The 7 of Wands. You're just going to have to hold your own. You've just got to hold your own. You can do it. You've got the chameleon of all of those kind of wandy royalty there, or certainly the knight and the king. And you can hold your own. What about the star? Funny, this is so funny to get your fingers burnt in such a passionate reading. So, okay, it's going to be a little, you've got to let go of some of this. That's what I feel. What's that? Oh, don't burn my table. I've burnt my table. How annoying. Oh well, there you go. First damage to the new table. How can they get to their star where they can cope with the water and the fire? With the Page of Air, you've got to make some strategic decisions. You've got to rise above all of this and sort of be quite strategic. And as a Capricorn, you will be able to be. So use your strategic notions. Think about me burning my fingers. This is hot energy, Capricorn, but you can metabolize it. It is going to turn into the star. You will be able to mix your heart with your passion. But bear in mind, my burnt fingers and my burnt table with all my things on it. So maybe you need to be a little bit careful about not getting burnt by all your passions, bringing the balance in. Remember that Knight of Pentacles that turns up twice, that's able to contain the energy of the passion. Remember all the cups. Just don't get too burnt. Very annoyed about my table. See you again.